My mother-in-law had been abusing me and my children for 3 years. I hid it from everyone, especially my family. Then one day, my father showed up unannounced and walked right into the middle of her screaming at me while my kids cried in terror. The look on his face when he realized what I'd been hiding will stay with me forever. My name is Emily, and I'm 30 years old. I live in suburban Boston with my husband, Michael, and our 2 children. Our daughter, Lily, is 6 years old, and our son, Noah, is 4. On the surface, we looked like the perfect family. Nice house in a good neighborhood, successful careers, beautiful kids. But behind closed doors, my life was a living hell, and the person making it that way was someone who was supposed to love and support me. My mother-in-law, Patricia. I met Michael when I was 24. We worked at the same tech company in downtown Boston. He was kind, funny, ambitious, everything I wanted in a partner. We dated for 2 years before getting engaged. During that time, I met his mother, Patricia, several times. She was always polite to me, but there was something cold underneath, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Michael's father had passed away when Michael was in college, so Patricia had raised him mostly on her own. They were very close, maybe too close. She called him every single day. She had opinions about everything in his life, where he should work, where he should live, who he should date. But Michael seemed to handle it well, so I didn't worry too much. When we got engaged, Patricia's behavior changed. She became more critical of me. Nothing I did was right. The wedding I was planning was too expensive. Then it wasn't fancy enough. My dress was too revealing. My hair was too casual. My family wasn't sophisticated enough. Every conversation with her left me feeling small and inadequate. Michael would defend me, sort of. He'd say things like, "Mom, that's enough," or, "Mom, be nice." But he never really stood up to her. He'd make excuses for her behavior. She's just old-fashioned. She's protective. She's had a hard life. She doesn't mean anything by it. But she did mean something by it. She meant to break me down, and after we got married, she got her chance. We bought a house about 20 minutes from where Patricia lived. I thought the distance would help, that we'd have our own space to build our marriage. But Patricia had a key to our house. Michael had given it to her for emergencies. That key became her weapon. She would show up unannounced, sometimes multiple times a week. She'd walk right in, no knocking, no calling ahead. She'd critique how I kept the house. The dishes weren't done properly. The floors weren't clean enough. The furniture was arranged wrong. She'd move things around without asking, rearrange my kitchen cabinets, throw away food she didn't think was healthy. "Michael deserves better than this," she'd say, gesturing at my home. "If you can't keep a proper house, what kind of wife are you?" I tried to talk to Michael about it. I told him it made me uncomfortable that his mother had unlimited access to our home. But he said I was overreacting. "She's just trying to help," he'd say. "She raised me by herself. Let her feel useful." Then I got pregnant with Lily. I thought maybe Patricia would soften, that becoming a grandmother would change her. It didn't. It made everything worse. During my pregnancy, she criticized everything. My weight gain, my food choices, my birth plan. She told me I was being selfish for wanting an epidural. She said I wasn't preparing properly for motherhood. She attended my baby shower and spent the entire time telling my friends and family stories about what a difficult pregnancy she'd had with Michael, making everything about her. When Lily was born, Patricia was at the hospital within an hour. She pushed her way into the recovery room before I was even cleaned up, before I'd even gotten to hold my baby properly. She grabbed Lily out of the nurse's arms and said, "Finally a granddaughter. She looks just like Michael." Not one word about how I was doing after giving birth. Not one acknowledgement of what I'd just been through. Just her, taking my baby, claiming her as her own. The first few months after Lily was born were the hardest of my life. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, trying to figure out how to be a mother. And Patricia was there constantly, every single day. She'd show up at 8 in the morning and stay until dinner time. She criticized my breastfeeding. I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't producing enough milk. I should switch to formula. Then when I switched to formula because I was struggling, she said I was taking the easy way out, that I'd failed as a mother already. She criticized how I dressed Lily. The clothes were too casual, too tight, too loose, wrong colors. She'd bring bags of clothes she'd bought without asking me, then get offended when I didn't use them all. She criticized how I soothed Lily when she cried. I was holding her too much. I was spoiling her. I should let her cry it out. Then when I tried that method, she said I was being cruel and heartless. Every single thing I did as a new mother was wrong according to Patricia. And slowly, I started to believe her. I started to think maybe I really was a terrible mother. Maybe Lily would be better off with someone else taking care of her. Maybe Patricia was right about everything. Michael didn't see any of this. He was back at work, putting in long hours to support our growing family. When he was home, Patricia would put on a sweet act. She'd be helpful and kind and supportive. The moment he left, she'd turn back into a monster. When Lily was about a year old, Patricia started undermining me directly to my daughter. Lily would ask for me, and Patricia would say, "Mommy's busy. Mommy doesn't want to play with you right now, but Grandma's here. Grandma loves you." She'd give Lily candy and treats after I specifically said no. She'd let Lily do things I'd forbidden. Then she'd say to Lily, "This can be our little secret. Don't tell Mommy." She was teaching my daughter to hide things from me, to not trust me, to see her as the good one and me as the bad one. When Noah was born 2 years later, everything intensified. Patricia now had 2 grandchildren to control, and I had 2 children to protect from her toxicity, except I didn't know how. I was drowning. Between taking care of 2 young kids, trying to maintain my part-time remote work, and dealing with Patricia's constant presence and criticism, I was falling apart. I started having panic attacks. I couldn't sleep. I lost weight. I stopped seeing my friends because I was too exhausted and too ashamed. My own parents lived about 2 hours away. I talked to them on the phone regularly, but I never told them what was really happening. I was too embarrassed, too afraid they'd think I was weak, too worried they'd blame me for not standing up to Patricia. So I suffered in silence. I put on a brave face when my parents visited. I pretended everything was fine. I smiled through family gatherings and holiday dinners, while Patricia made subtle digs at me in front of everyone. The abuse wasn't just emotional anymore. Patricia started getting physical with me. Not hitting, but grabbing. She'd grab my arm hard when she was angry, leaving bruises. She'd shove past me in my own kitchen. She'd snatch things out of my hands. Once, when I told her to stop yelling at Lily, she pushed me against the wall and said, "Don't you dare tell me how to treat my grandchildren." I should have told someone. I should have called the police. I should have thrown her out of my house and changed the locks. But I didn't, because I was scared. Scared of what Michael would say. Scared of breaking up my family. Scared that no one would believe me. Patricia was careful. She never left obvious marks. She never acted this way in front of Michael or anyone else. It was just me and the kids who saw the real her. And the kids were so young, they couldn't articulate what was happening. They just knew that Grandma was mean sometimes, and Mommy seemed scared of her. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon in October. Michael was at work. The kids and I had spent the morning at home. Lily was supposed to have a play date with a friend from school, but I'd had to cancel because Noah had a slight fever. Nothing serious, just a low-grade fever, but I wanted to keep him home and rested. Patricia showed up around 2 o'clock. I hadn't invited her. I never invited her anymore because she came anyway whether I wanted her there or not. She walked in using her key and immediately started in on me. "Why are the kids home? It's Tuesday. Lily should be at her play date." "Noah has a fever," I explained. "I needed to keep him home, so I canceled Lily's play date." "A fever?" Patricia said, walking over to Noah and putting her hand on his forehead. "He doesn't feel warm. You're being paranoid again. You always overreact to every little thing." "I'm not overreacting," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "He had a fever of 100.5 this morning. The pediatrician said to monitor him and keep him comfortable." "You called the pediatrician for a little fever?" Patricia said incredulously. "No wonder they think you're a hysterical mother. When Michael was young, I never called the doctor unless he was practically dying." I didn't respond. I'd learned that arguing with her only made things worse. "And this house is a mess," she continued, looking around my living room. There were toys on the floor because my kids had been playing. There were dishes in the sink because I'd been focused on taking care of Noah. "How do you expect to raise children in this chaos? Michael works so hard to provide for this family, and this is how you repay him." "Patricia, please," I said quietly. "Not today. I'm tired. Noah's not feeling well, and I just need some peace." That's when she snapped. "Peace?" she shouted. "You need peace? You sit at home all day doing nothing while my son works himself to the bone. You're lazy, you're incompetent, you're a terrible mother and a worse wife. I knew from the moment Michael brought you home that you weren't good enough for him." The kids started crying. Noah, who'd been sitting on the couch watching TV, began sobbing. Lily ran over to me and hid behind my legs. "You're scaring the children," I said, my own voice shaking. "Please lower your voice." "I'll do whatever I want in my son's house," she screamed. "These are my grandchildren, and I won't stand by and watch you ruin them." She advanced toward me, and I backed up instinctively. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in, and shoved me backward. I stumbled but didn't fall. "You're pathetic," she hissed in my face. "Look at you. Can't even stand up for yourself. No wonder Michael stays late at work. He can't stand coming home to you." The kids were screaming now. Lily was crying so hard she was hiccuping. Noah was calling for me, reaching out with his little arms. I was crying too. 3 years of abuse had finally broken me completely. I couldn't fight back. I couldn't defend myself. I just stood there, sobbing, while this woman who was supposed to be family tore me apart. And that's when the front door opened. My father, Robert, walked in. He'd been in the area for a business meeting and had decided to stop by and surprise us with a visit. He had texted me that he was coming, but I'd been so overwhelmed by Patricia's arrival that I hadn't seen the message. He walked into absolute chaos, his grandchildren screaming and crying, his daughter backed against a wall, tears streaming down her face, with visible marks on her arm where Patricia had grabbed me. And Patricia, standing in the middle of my living room, red-faced with rage. My father is not a tall man, but he has a presence. Years of being a high school principal gave him an authority that's impossible to ignore. He took in the scene in about 2 seconds, and his expression went from confused to absolutely furious. "What the hell is going on here?" he said, his voice low and dangerous. Patricia turned to face him, and I saw her trying to compose herself, trying to put on the sweet act she always used around other people. "Robert," she said, forcing a smile. "What a surprise. I was just helping Emily with the children. They're having a difficult afternoon." My father looked at her, then at me, then at my sobbing children, then back at Patricia. Get out of this house, he said. Patricia blinked. Excuse me? I said get out, my father repeated, his voice steady but filled with barely controlled rage. Get out of my daughter's house right now. You can't speak to me that way, Patricia said, her false sweetness evaporating. This is my son's house. I have every right to be here. You have no rights here, my father said. You're abusing my daughter. You've been abusing her, haven't you, Emily? I couldn't speak. I just nodded, tears still streaming down my face. My father's jaw clenched. He walked past Patricia, ignoring her completely, and came straight to me. He pulled me into a hug, something he hadn't done since I was a little girl, and I completely broke down. How long? He asked quietly. 3 years, I whispered, since we got married. I felt his whole body tense. He pulled back and looked at my face, then at the marks on my arm. Did she do that? He asked, pointing at the bruises. I nodded. He turned to Patricia, and I'd never seen him so angry. You put your hands on my daughter? On my grandchildren's mother? She's exaggerating, Patricia said quickly. She's always been overly sensitive. I barely touched her. Don't lie to me, my father said. I can see the marks. I can see how terrified she is. I can see how scared those children are. How long have you been doing this? I've been trying to help her become a better mother, Patricia said defensively. Someone needs to teach her how to properly take care of my grandchildren. By screaming at her? By physically assaulting her? By terrorizing her in her own home? My father's voice was getting louder. You're a bully. You're an abuser. And you're leaving right now, or I'm calling the police. The police? Patricia laughed. Over what? Having a conversation with my daughter-in-law? Assault, my father said. Domestic abuse, harassment, trespassing. Should I continue? Patricia's face went pale. You wouldn't dare. Try me, my father said, pulling out his phone. You have 30 seconds to leave this house, and if I ever see you near my daughter or my grandchildren again without their explicit permission, I will make sure you're arrested. I don't care who your son is. I don't care what excuses you have. You've been abusing my family, and it ends right now. For the first time since I'd known her, Patricia looked genuinely scared. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, but she couldn't resist one last parting shot. Michael will hear about this, she said. My son will never forgive you for this, Emily. You're breaking apart this family. No, my father said firmly. You broke this family the moment you started abusing your daughter-in-law. Now get out. Patricia left, slamming the door behind her. The moment she was gone, my father turned to me. Are you okay? Are the kids okay? I couldn't answer. I just collapsed into a chair and cried. All the fear, all the pain, all the suffering of the past 3 years came pouring out. My father scooped up both kids who were still crying and brought them to me. We all huddled together on the couch, and my father just held us while we cried. After about 10 minutes, when everyone had calmed down a little, my father said, You're going to tell me everything, every single thing she's done to you, and then we're going to figure out what to do about it. So I told him everything. 3 years of abuse, manipulation, control, and fear. I showed him the bruises. I told him about the constant criticism, the undermining of my parenting, the way she turned my kids against me, the way she made me feel worthless. My father listened to all of it, his face getting darker and darker. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Why didn't you tell me? He finally asked. Why didn't you tell me or your mother what was happening? I was ashamed, I said. I thought I should be able to handle it. I thought if I told you, you'd think I was weak, and I was scared of what it would mean for my marriage. Emily, my father said, taking my hands in his, you are not weak. You are not to blame for this. That woman abused you. She abused you emotionally and physically for 3 years, and none of it is your fault. Do you understand me? I nodded, but I wasn't sure I believed it yet. Does Michael know? My father asked. Some of it, I said, but he always takes her side. He says I'm overreacting, that she's just trying to help, that she doesn't mean anything by it. My father's expression hardened. Then Michael and I need to have a conversation. Where is he? At work. He'll be home around 6. Good, my father said. I'll be here when he arrives. In the meantime, you and the kids are going to eat some dinner, and we're going to figure out what happens next. My father called my mother and told her what had happened. She immediately left work and drove the 2 hours to our house. When she arrived and saw me, saw the state I was in, she burst into tears. My baby, she said, holding me. Why didn't you tell us? We would have helped you. We would have protected you. I know, I said. I'm sorry. I was just so scared and confused. Michael came home at 6:15. He walked in, saw my parents sitting in the living room, and smiled. Hey, what a nice surprise. What are you guys doing here? Then he saw my face. The tear tracks, the red eyes, the bruises on my arm. What happened? He asked, concerned. Emily, are you okay? Sit down, Michael, my father said. We need to talk. Michael sat, looking confused and worried. My father laid it all out. Everything Patricia had been doing for the past 3 years. The abuse, the manipulation, the physical violence. Michael's face went from confused to shocked to defensive. That can't be right, he said. My mother wouldn't do that. She loves Emily. She loves the kids. Your mother has been terrorizing your wife, my father said firmly. I witnessed it myself today. I walked in and saw her screaming at Emily, saw the marks on Emily's arm, saw your children crying in fear. This has been going on for 3 years, and Emily has been suffering in silence because she was afraid to tell anyone. Michael turned to me. Is this true? I nodded, unable to speak. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. I tried, I said, my voice breaking. So many times. But you always defended her. You always said I was overreacting or being too sensitive. You made me feel like I was crazy for being upset. Michael looked stricken. I didn't know it was this bad. I thought she was just being overbearing sometimes, like mothers are. I didn't realize. You didn't want to realize, my father said. You chose to believe your mother's act instead of listening to your wife. You enabled this abuse by refusing to see it. That's not fair, Michael said. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, my mother said quietly. Emily tried to tell you, and you shut her down. You chose your mother over your wife, over the mother of your children. Michael put his head in his hands. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then he looked up at me. I'm so sorry, Emily, he said. I should have listened to you. I should have protected you. My mom has been my whole life for so long. After my dad died, it was just us. I couldn't see her clearly. I couldn't see what she was doing. She hurt me, Michael, I said. For 3 years, she hurt me every single day. She made me feel worthless. She turned our children against me. She made me question everything about myself as a mother and a wife. And you let her. He started crying. I know. I know, and I'm so sorry. What can I do? How can I fix this? Your mother is not allowed in this house anymore, my father said firmly. Not until Emily says otherwise. And you need to get your wife and children into therapy to deal with the trauma your mother has caused. And you need therapy too, to understand why you enabled this for so long. Okay, Michael said immediately. Okay, yes, whatever Emily needs, whatever it takes. And, my father continued, you need to tell your mother that if she comes near Emily or the children again without permission, we will file charges for assault and harassment. She physically attacked your wife today, Michael. That's a crime. Michael looked shocked. She hit Emily? Look at your wife's arm, my father said. Michael looked at the bruises on my arm, and I saw something break in him. The realization of what his mother had done, what he'd allowed to happen, finally hit him. I'll talk to her, he said. I'll make sure she understands that she can't do this anymore. No, I said, speaking up for the first time. I don't want you to just talk to her. I want you to choose, me or her, your wife and children, or your mother, because I can't live like this anymore, Michael. I won't. He looked at me with tears streaming down his face. You. I choose you. I choose our family. I'm so sorry it took this long for me to see what was really happening. I love you, Emily. I love you and the kids more than anything. I won't let her hurt you anymore. I wanted to believe him, but 3 years of broken promises and defended abuse made it hard. I need to see you prove it, I said. I need to see you actually stand up to her. I need to see you protect us, because words aren't enough anymore. I will, he said. I promise. I will do whatever it takes to make this right. My parents stayed with us for 3 days. During that time, Patricia tried to call Michael at least 20 times. She texted constantly. She showed up at the house once, but my father answered the door and told her to leave immediately or he'd call the police. She left. Michael finally called her on the 3rd day. I didn't hear the whole conversation, but I heard enough. He told her that what she'd done was unacceptable, that she'd been abusing me for years and he'd been blind to it, that she was not welcome in our home or around our children until she got help and made genuine amends. Patricia screamed at him over the phone. I could hear her voice even though I was in another room. She called him ungrateful. She said I'd turned him against her. She said she was the victim in all of this. Michael, to his credit, didn't back down. No, Mom, you're not the victim. Emily is. And I'm done enabling your behavior. Get help, apologize, and maybe someday we can rebuild a relationship. But right now, you need to stay away. He hung up. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like maybe my husband was actually on my side. The months that followed were difficult. Michael and I started marriage counseling. I started individual therapy to work through the trauma of the abuse. The kids started seeing a child psychologist to help them process what they'd witnessed. Patricia didn't go quietly. She tried everything to get back into our lives. She sent letters. She sent gifts for the kids. She showed up at Lily's school once, and I had to call the school and tell them she was not authorized to pick up our children. Eventually, Michael had to get a cease and desist letter from a lawyer. That finally made her stop the constant contact. It's been a year now since my father walked in and witnessed Patricia's abuse. A year since everything changed. My marriage is stronger than it's ever been. Michael goes to therapy. He's learned to set boundaries with his mother. He's learned to listen to me when I tell him something is wrong. He's become the partner I needed him to be from the beginning. The kids are doing better. They're not afraid anymore. They're not confused about who loves them or who they can trust. Lily has stopped asking why Grandma doesn't visit anymore. Noah barely remembers the worst of it, thank God. I'm healing too. Slowly. Therapy has helped me understand that I wasn't weak for enduring the abuse. I was surviving. And now I'm learning how to be strong in a different way. How to set boundaries, how to speak up, how to trust my own judgment. Patricia has never apologized. She still believes she did nothing wrong. She's tried to reach out to Michael a few times, but he's held firm. He told her that until she acknowledges what she did and gets professional help, there's no relationship to rebuild. I don't know if we'll ever have a relationship with her again. Part of me hopes she'll wake up one day and realize the damage she's caused. Part of me knows she probably never will. But that's not my problem anymore. My job is to protect myself and my children. My job is to build a life free from abuse and fear. And that's exactly what I'm doing. My father saved me that day. If he hadn't shown up when he did, I don't know how much longer I could have endured. I might have had a complete breakdown. I might have left Michael. I might have done something desperate just to escape. But he did show up, and he saw the truth, and he refused to let me suffer anymore. My parents are much more involved in our lives now. They come visit every couple of weeks. They FaceTime with the kids regularly. They check in on me to make sure I'm okay. They've become the grandparents my children deserve. And I've learned something important through all of this. Suffering in silence doesn't protect anyone. It just lets the abuse continue. Speaking up, asking for help, that's not weakness. That's strength. If I could go back and tell myself something 3 years ago, when Patricia first started her campaign of abuse, I'd say this. Tell someone. Tell your parents. Tell your friends. Tell anyone who will listen. Don't let shame or fear or embarrassment keep you trapped. Because you deserve to be protected. You deserve to be believed. You deserve to be safe. I'm safe now. My children are safe. My marriage is healing. And Patricia no longer has any power over me. My name is Emily. I'm 31 years old. My mother-in-law abused me for 3 years until my father caught her in the act. That day changed everything. It saved my life, and now I'm building a new life. One where I have a voice. One where I'm believed. One where I'm protected. That's the life I deserve. That's the life we all deserve. If you're experiencing abuse from a family member, a partner, or anyone else, please tell someone. Reach out. Ask for help. You're not alone. You're not weak. And you deserve so much better. It took me 3 years to find my voice. Don't wait as long as I did. Speak up, get help, break free. Your life is worth fighting for.